Hey, Kiss Army, it's Bruce Kulick with my beautiful silent guitar. And you're listening to the Kiss Army Nation podcast. They're incredible. So crank it up with them.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 127 of the Kiss Army Nation podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Pasquale Veri.
And I am Claudius Pera. Welcome to the show, everyone.
On this episode, it's all about Bruce Kulick. We're going to pay tribute to Mr. Kulick through a series of topics, including our personal experiences with Bruce, his work on BlackJack and Kiss, and we're also going to talk about Union, the Bruce Kulick Band, and his video tributes. Throughout this episode, we're going to listen to testimonials from the Kiss Army.
And of course, it couldn't be a discussion panel without our dear friends, Craig Patton and Patrick De Montigny. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks again.
And let's just begin with a little warm-up question that we asked a recent guest, Charlie Parra. This is a very interesting one, so I'm really looking forward to get your answers, guys. So good Kiss have made it through the 80s without Bruce Kulick. Craig, you open up the floor.
All right. So listen, I think that I don't think they would have been as successful as they were or would have made it, because with all the drama that was going on in the band at that time and such, I think that he was a breath of fresh air coming in, being that stable, quiet type in the background, not causing drama, coming in to do his job, and basically being content on just doing that, being content on not being one of the three big, 2 or 3 guys in the band. I think they just need someone there just to hold down the fort in that position. You know, and I think that that's what they needed at the time. Someone stable, someone definitely to be in there and contribute positively.
Okay. Patrick, what do you think?
Yeah, pretty much with Craig on that one, in the sense that he brought stability, because, you know, as we all know, within the first few years of the 80s decade, Kiss was really like struggling and losing a drummer or losing their, guitars and everything, and then changes and everything. So I think Bruce was there to give stability and say, okay, I'm here to stay. I'm here for the long haul. So I think that was needed at the time. And also, I think Bruce was able to expand after that musically.
Okay. Pask?
I agree with Pat. You know, Bruce meant stability for the band, but a lot more than that, right? The band was trying to find itself again in the 80s, and they couldn't do that with Vinny. They couldn't do that with Mark St. John. And when Bruce came along, he was a breath of fresh air for the band. Not only was he professional, he was a team player, and in my opinion, the best guitarist that Kiss ever had. Mm-hmm. And that's what they needed. They needed somebody with no drama and that could play anything. So that would allow Kiss to expand their musical horizons, and they know they could because they have a player like Bruce, and they know that the ego won't get in the way, and they could actually start to move forward. So I believe that the band would have been gone, dead and buried, if Bruce didn't join the band. If they continued with Mark, they continued with Vinny, especially with Vinny, they wouldn't have gotten through the 80s, in my opinion.
Right.
Okay, good point. Well, I'm with you guys. So nothing new on the horizon. So basically, I share your opinions. We have to remember that it was shaky times, with the original, guitar player leaving in the case of Ace, and then a consecutive 2 very fast forward, guitar players with Mark St. John and Vinny. So And I remember we discussed in the past, and there were many questions in the Kiss fandom. So did Vinny save Kiss? Remember with his contribution to Creatures of the Night, and then with Lick It Up. But I think that the guy who really saved Kiss in the 80s and made it through, it's definitely Bruce Kulick. So it took some time for Bruce to get up to speed with with what Kiss means, for the fans and for the music and for the image, but he pulled it through beautifully. And of course, we're going to touch on musicality later on, but I'm with you 100% past. So the best, technically speaking, the best guitar player that Kiss ever had. So of course, and again, we'll touch on that later. I don't think it's fair to compare, with Ace or with some of the other guys, because Ace, he was part of the foundation and he gave that special sound to Kiss in the 70s. But I think the guy who really defined Kiss's sound in the 80s and 90s was Bruce Kulick. So, it's kudos to Bruce, and thanks. We have to be thankful for having him as part of the history.
Yeah, very well said. And I think that's exactly why, we're doing this tribute to Bruce, because Bruce gave so much to the band. And if it wasn't for Bruce, I don't believe the band would be around. And they produced so much amazing music in the 80s, and he's still doing that now. And it's, it's just appropriate that we pay tribute to him. Absolutely. And, I'm wearing my Bruce Kulick t-shirt here from Chris Hoffman, wearing it with pride. So I've been really looking forward to this episode with you guys to discuss everything Bruce Kulick. So Kiss Army, sit back, relax, and let's pay tribute to the one and only Bruce Kulick. And we're going to begin our tribute by sharing some of our personal experiences with Bruce. And this time we're going to start with Patrick.
Well, I did the 2 Kiss conventions or expos, whatever you call them, in the past. And I'm not saying this because to be nice or for Bruce, but he was my best guess as far as dealing with him on a personal level and everything like that. Nothing was complicated. Like it was mentioned, he was professional, showed up on time. You didn't have any work to do to get him there. He did it all on his own, and a fun guy to be around with. And he, during the Kiss years, he didn't talk as much because Gene and Paul obviously did the talking, but he did have a lot to say and fun. Nothing negative, all fun, and very interesting to discuss with. And a lot of fun. He signed everything people wanted him to sign, so he was fabulous. Always a positive experience.
Okay, Craig.
Yeah, I have a story there. I was at Pat's convention with Bruce, and I was there with my son and trying to convert him to Kissism, and kind of didn't work, but I tried. And anyway, we're all there, and he's in front, and Bruce is about to sign autographs, and everybody started rushing at him, and almost trampled my kid over, and he just stopped the autograph guy, guys, push back, let the little guy through, made my son feel so special. And he walked up to him, gave him a guitar pick, signed it for him, shook his hand, said thank you, and my son to this day still remembers that, and he goes, wow, what a really nice guy, and that was Bruce. I mean, I remember bumping into him also at the Kiss convention in 95, 96. I was on the side and I was taking some video and he came out the door behind me to come on stage, and he kind of went like, shh, don't tell him I'm here, Because, he came on stage left instead of coming on the right stage, and he came from the back, and I had a few words with him, and I didn't say nothing, and he said thanks a lot, and that was it, But that's Bruce. I mean, he's very humble, very thankful for the fans, and to this day, tremendous respect for the man.
All right. How about you, Claudio?
Well, I had a 2 or 3, kind of few times that I had the chance to meet Bruce, and we always talk about, how great Eric was, how humble with the fans and everything. But I strongly believe that Bruce is at the same level, And I remember the first time I met him was back in 1994, the first time the band went to Buenos Aires. So the first time ever that they went to Argentina. And I remember that, there was a little bit of a hysteria there. And of course, Paul and Gene, they were a bit freaking out, so they didn't show up. But I decided to stay at the hotel where Kiss was staying. And I remember the first one that came down the elevator was Bruce, and he spent a lot of time with us, chatting, signing everything. He didn't seem to be nervous or anything, even though it was the first time in that country. And well, basically, besides Brazil, that was the first time in South America. And he seemed really relaxed, and he was having a blast. And then during the shows, it was fantastic. He seemed to be enjoying it so much. Then he got so much in love with the fans there that during the Union years in '99, I think it was, he went down again for a convention. So I was involved in the organization, setting up a kind of a Kiss museum, showcasing, the collection and everything. And my friends, they were organizing the convention, and he played live. He played, I remember, some of the tunes from Unions, of course, some of the tunes from Kiss. And then he decided to, he said it on the microphone, okay, guys, relax, because everybody was like jumping and everything. I will sign for each one of you a piece of whatever you have, if it's a piece of paper or an album or everything. And why I'm saying this story, because everybody wanted to see him, everybody wanted to shake his hand, and he stayed for 2.5 hours.
Oh.
Wow.
So everybody was lining up, and you could see his face. He was exhausted, he was tired. So everybody brought him something to eat, but he didn't leave the room until every single fan had something signed from him.
Wow.
So that was a hell of an experience.
Yeah.
That tells everything, how great Bruce is. And even to this day, then he came back with Union. And people love him everywhere. So I think he's the most lovable guy of all of the members, definitely.
Oftentimes when a fan says they met a member of the band, it usually means that we paid big bucks to meet the members of the band. And of course, paying that kind of money, they're going to be nice. They're going to be pleasant. They're going to make you feel like you're their best friend. That's obvious, And I met Bruce several times, like many times at conventions, and he's always been amazing. But that's part of his job, really, right? You really don't know what he's like till you meet him personally, And I remember at a Kiss Expo, I had a half-hour meeting with Bruce. I was organized my Rocky New Year's Bash here in Montreal, and I wanted Bruce to be a guest. And with the promoter of the New Jersey Expo, I asked if I could get in touch with Bruce, have a little meeting with him, and discuss my ideas for the party, how we could use Bruce, how he could be involved. And we spoke for a good half hour. And he was such a nice guy. He was the same person you see on stage, the same person you see at the tables talking to the fans. With Bruce, what you see is what you get. Now, he couldn't make the show because of scheduling conflicts and stuff, but it was such a pleasure to talk to him. And, you sit with him and you don't feel like intimidated. Oh, my God, he's a rock star. He's just like you and me. And he makes you feel like we're all part of the same team. We're all friends here. We're all part of the Kiss Army. No reason to be intimidated. And it was such a pleasure to talk to him. And that meeting to this day has stayed with me, and I'll never forget it.
Mm-hmm. Of course. And this episode is so special, and we love Bruce so much that now it is the time to listen to some personal experiences from the Kiss Army. So we're gonna put some videos there, and then we come back.
Bruce essentially saved Kiss in the 80s. Without Bruce, there would not be that fantastic string of records. The Kiss Cruise Bruce is as important a part of the Kiss cruise as Kiss. My wife and I have been on the last 2 cruises, and if there's another one coming up, it's a deal breaker if Bruce isn't on, because his shows are incredible. Getting to spend time with Bruce at KLA, the Kiss Live auctions, is an amazing privilege. This poster was bought from Bruce's collection, personal collection, signed by Bruce, given to me by my charming wife for my birthday. Having Bruce around means so much to Kiss fans, and thank you, Bruce, for doing what you do for the fans.
Hello, Bruce Kulick. Thank you very much for all the years of great music you have given me, Michael, here in Montreal. Not just with Kiss, but also with Union, also with your solo projects, and let's not forget also the past 2 decades as a member of Grand Funk Railroad. Thank you to Claudio and Pasquale for giving you this dedicated episode on their podcast. You deserve it. I also want to say thank you for all those years that you came to Montreal for those Kiss conventions. You answered all my questions. You signed anything I gave you to sign. You always had time for a small conversation. Much appreciated. You are a true gentleman and a wonderful musician. Keep it up. Thank you very much once again. Thank you, Claudio and Pasquale, once again. All the best to you, Bruce. Take care.
What's going on, everyone? The Record Spinner here. In my personal opinion, and I'm sure many other Kiss fans will agree, Bruce Kulick was the essential Kiss guitarist of the non-makeup period. Not only did he reinvent the classic material in his own style, his sense of professionalism had set a standard within the well-oiled Kiss organization, legendary enough to get his own bobblehead as well.
So let's now continue our tribute with the BlackJack. So BlackJack featured Michael Bolton, Sandy Gennaro, Jimmy Haslett, and of course, the one and only Bruce Kulick. So the band was only active during 1979 and 1980 and managed to release 2 albums, the self-titled BlackJack in 79 and Worlds Apart in 1980. Gents, what are your thoughts on this band and the music they produced? Craig, we're going to start with you.
To be honest with you, I haven't really listened to them stuff until our homework here. And let me tell you, it was great homework. I mean, I loved it. There's songs, Love Me Tonight, Can't Live Without Your Love. It sounds like, don't quote me on this one, but it sounds like kind of like Bad Company, Europe-ish, you know? Mm-hmm. And Heart of Stone, the Worlds Apart, from that, they're great tunes. And I'm kind of sorry I didn't listen to them earlier, you know? Yeah. Much as like Bruce's solo albums too. I didn't really know much of it, but man, it's I'm glad I dove into it because I was missing out.
Definitely, yeah. Pat, what's your take?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much similar to Craig in the sense that I had heard it previously, but never really paid attention to it. So for the cause of this great episode, I forced myself to listen to it, and I use that positively because what I heard, I liked. Too bad they didn't really make it because there was real potential there. You could tell that musically the band was solid. Michael Bolton, obviously, with his voice and everything, and pretty much in the same vein, I would say, like lover boyish kind of, where rock was still rock. You didn't have to be metal or pop or rock, just rock. And, catchy choruses, musically pretty solid. I'm curious to see how it would have evolved if the band had stayed together.
Yeah, true. Well, I think if it hadn't been because of, what Michael Bolton wanted to do with his solo career, it could have lasted longer, and who knows, but definitely a really, really interesting band. Pask, what do you think?
Well, that's the thing, Claudio. I read that, they came out with 2 albums. Their first album did okay, and the second album not so great. And Bruce was quoted on the Ultimate Classic Rock magazine that at the time, Supertramp was dominating the charts. And
Yes.
that was the kind of music that people went for at the time. And BlackJack was nothing like that. Now, it's interesting, Craig and Pat, your comparisons with other bands to BlackJack. I had something different. I'm not sure if I'm right on this one. First of all, listening to this album, when I first got it in New Jersey years ago, I listened to it once and I put it away. And I listened to it again this week a few times. Like Craig, this was fun homework, man. It was Bruce all week long. It was awesome, so much fun. But what an amazing album! I really enjoyed it. Now, listening to this album, I kind of got the impression that this was sort of like early Michael Bolton. Obviously, you got an idea of what he's going to sound like later on in his mainstream career. I felt. I don't know what you guys think, but I didn't feel that this was a hard rock album, more soft rock, if you want to call it that. But oddly enough, when I'm listening to the album, Molly Hatchet comes to mind.
Okay.
They sound like Molly Hatchet. And what's funny, I'll talk about this later, but listening to this album, I found that the songs on this album is closer to how I relate Bruce's music than to what he does with the hard rock material. And we'll talk about that. Yes, so? We'll talk about that later when we do the solo albums. But yeah, I like the softer side of Bruce rather than the harder side. And I felt like this was the beginning of that, in a sense. You got a sense of what his style was. Obviously, later on, he tried different things, Yeah. But this, to me, was the springboard to what was to become the Bruce Kulick sound.
Good foundation, definitely. I remember getting both albums, some time ago, and I remember I gave it a listen, and I loved it. Mostly the first one, BlackJack. I really loved it, and instantly it brought me back to a kind of a British big bluesy rocky kind of band. Okay. Like you guys said, Bad Company and all of that, but I'm a big fan of Whitesnake, okay? And to me, when you hear these songs, and I'm talking about the original lineup of Whitesnake, okay, not farther on in time, but those catchy songs, Bruce comes up with beautiful arrangements and solos. The ballads are definitely, a highlight for both albums in my take, and really cool melodies and harmonies. And I agree with you, Bas. It's not you cannot deem it as hard rock. It's more like a nice combination of rock and a little bit of melodic pop too. So definitely, really nice songs. So the concept of beautiful songs, okay, from start to finish. Really nice to listen to, so it's beautiful music. I loved it.
Okay, let's jump forward from BlackJack to Kiss. So Bruce joined Kiss in September of 1984, temporarily replacing Mark St. John, and it quickly became apparent that Bruce was the better fit for Kiss. So in 84, Bruce became the official member. So I have a two-part question here. So what was your initial reaction to Bruce in his early years with Kiss? And what do you feel Bruce brought to the band? We'll start with Claudio this time.
My initial reaction to Bruce was kind of, how can I put it? It didn't grab my attention so much visually. Kiss being such a visual band, I think that he was very kind of shy at the beginning. He kind of kept his side there, so it didn't grab my attention basically. But I could see from the beginning, from the early days, that he had really something to offer musically. His playing was clean. He seemed to be all the time so concentrated on making the songs sound the good way and respecting, the legacy of those bands. Even though, remember, in '84, during that tour, they were playing fast. Okay, so they changed the tempo big time to the songs, but still without trying to copy Ace or trying to sound, similar to Ace. He started to show his own, kind of stamp to the Kiss music. So again, just to summarize, he grabbed my attention more musically than visually, for sure.
All right, Patrick.
I always find that Bruce was in a very, very odd position when he joined the band, only because he was the fourth guy within a 2-year period. So very big challenge for him to leave his own, make his place in Kiss. You had 2 guys prior who didn't work out. So there he is, a lot of pressure on him. As time as time went on, rather, he sort of was able to introduce himself slowly, but here's what I can do. First thing that comes to mind, the intro of No, 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 the song. You go, okay, he can shred, but he doesn't overdo it. And then you listen to Forever, you go, oh my God, that guy is really, really, he really has something to offer. And it's not overdone. It's really structured, and it's like, oh, this is really working. So I think he brought, as we had mentioned earlier, stability, but also he defined something. He was able, with his own evolution, to bring something to Kiss, and oddly enough, Kiss became more solidified as time went on with him in the band.
All right, Craig.
Yeah, definitely agree with the points given already. I thought it was a good thing. Mark St. John was not the fit, rest in peace there, but he wasn't the fit that Kiss was looking for. Bruce was willing to take that backseat role, to be that guy, the strong and silent type guy behind the scenes, musically and creativity. I mean, the guy, in honor of past there, he Brucified the band. I think that without him in there, not taking anything away from Vinny on his creativity point. I mean, his songwriting, we all know his songwriting stuff, but I think that definitely they were looking for that new breakout person, and he was the guy.
As I've often mentioned, in the early 80s, I checked out. So I was there when Eric joined the band, but I wasn't there when Vinny joined or Mark St. John. Now, I didn't see those transition periods. I didn't see Bruce come into the band. I wasn't there for Bruce's growing pains as the new guitarist of Kiss. Like Paul often said, he just stood on stage and just played. He wasn't moving around a lot, I discovered Kiss again with Hot in the Shade. And when I saw Bruce with Kiss, it felt like, yeah, it's an amazing sound. The group is tight. The group is cohesive. He belongs in the band. So when I rediscovered the band, to me, it was a natural fit. So then when I started to look back at the 80s catalog, I never saw those growing pains. To me, he always seemed to have fit the band from the very beginning. And I remember seeing pictures of Vinny back in the day. It's like, who's this guy? What's this guy about? Yeah. I remember Mark St. John. I didn't know who he was. He was never for very long. By the way, Mark St. John, nicest guy. Met him at Patrick's convention here in Montreal. But at the time, it's like, I didn't know who he was. But Bruce, wow, it's like, what a perfect fit to the band. And it's no wonder that, the Bruce and Eric Singer lineup for Revenge is my favorite lineup to this day. Yeah. It's because of Bruce.
Yeah. So moving forward, soon after leaving Kiss, so Bruce formed Union with John Corabi, Brent Fitz, and Jamie Hunting. So Corabi and Bruce wrote what would be their first album, the self-titled Union, released in 1998. So in 1999, Live in the Galaxy was released with 2 acoustic tracks, and their third and final album, The Blue Room, was released in the year 2000. So did you guys follow Bruce and Union after he left Kiss? Pask, I'll start with you now.
Oh yeah, I absolutely followed Bruce. Again, I love the Bruce and Eric Singer lineup, and when I remember when Kiss reunited, how disappointed I was that they reunited because we wouldn't see that lineup, that lineup again. And I remember how disappointed I was that the Bruce and Eric had to leave the band. And again, referring back to Patrick's convention when he had Bill O'Coin there, I remember Bill talking about there's not much time left with the band. They're going to call it quits soon. Remember that, Pat? Remember that? Oh man, I was sitting on the floor. I was so depressed because it's close to the end. And I saw a future with Kiss during the Revenge era. I didn't see one after the reunion tour because I thought, okay, this is a finite moment in time. And once the reunion tour is over, I thought it's going to be over. So I lived every single moment of the band experience because I want to experience everything before they called it quits. 20 years later, they haven't, and I'm still experiencing everything to the fullest. But it was always in the back of my mind, it's almost over, it's almost over, it's almost over. What a regret that is for me because it sort of stopped me from enjoying the band in the moment at the time, you know. But as a result of all of that, I tended to follow everything that Bruce did. And I remember hearing about Union. It's like, the minute the CD comes out, I'm going to buy it. And I did. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I listened to it often and with the other releases as well. I absolutely loved it. And I wanted to, you know, following Kiss, it's not just about Kiss. I like to, you know, when a member leaves, I want to follow what they're doing. And I, you know, we all still do that now. It's not just with the confines of the band. It's so much bigger than that now, you know? And I feel that in the 90s, Bruce leaving the band was the beginning of exploring Kiss-related content outside of the band. And for me, it was Bruce.
Greg?
No, I have to say, no, not really. I did follow where he went, but I didn't go to the extent of listening to what he was involved in. Thanks to the homework, I discovered it, and thankfully so, because I have not stopped listening to that first Union album. I have to say, I love that song. I don't need it anymore. It's such a great tune. Everything's all right. You know, they could fit in Carnival of Souls, those songs. It definitely in that Pearl Jam style that it seems that was the time of that thing was the grunge style. And I think it showcased Bruce more than Kiss did, right? So I can't say more about it. I loved it. Thanks to the homework. And I just love that album. I mean, I can't put it down, honestly.
Okay. Patrick?
I remember getting the first Union album and liking it and going, wow, pretty good stuff. But I think I preferred the live album. The live album is something I tend to listen to more, you know, on a regular basis. And I think the mixture of Bruce with John Corabi and the other two guys, I mean, it was a solid combo. The four of them, you know, really tight. And it's unfortunate, as Bruce had mentioned on my show, the reason Union didn't really make it was because they were kind of late for that type of rock. You know, at that point, you know, the music climate was a bit mixed, and so they didn't fit in, but it doesn't mean the material wasn't good. And now the Blue Room, I remember not liking it as much at first. Maybe I should give it a second listen. But for some reason, I didn't like it as much as the first record.
Okay.
Stuff. And I followed, you know, from a distance. But yes, I was up to date on everything that was happening.
Okay. Well, to me, it's kind of similar to you, Pat. So I did follow. I remember we had the chance to go with a group of friends to see the opening of the Psycho Circus tour in Los Angeles. I remember at the Dodger Stadium, and I remember that during that same time that week we had the chance to see Bruce live playing with Union in one of the small clubs in Sunset Boulevard, and. To be honest with you, I enjoyed Bruce's show much more than the Kiss show. I can tell you that. So it was, of course, it was a different venue. It was small. It was very intimate, but I remember the sound of that band there. They were on fire. So John Corabi, we all know how he sings, and Brent Fitz, hitting the skins, and Bruce. I think that Bruce with Union, to me, I could see that he was playing his real stuff. Okay, so the stuff that he enjoyed the most and his style was the right fit for that band. I agree with you also, Pat, that the Blue Room it's not at the same level as the first album, but loved it. I remember I loved it, and then we had the chance to meet again with Bruce. After the show, again, so kind, so humble. But that music to me represents in the best way Bruce's style, definitely.
Okay, so before we continue, let's listen to a few more personal experiences from the Kiss Army.
Hey, Pask and Claudio. It's Brant from In My Head channel. Thanks for having me as a part of this video. I've never personally met Bruce in person. It's one of the Kiss members I really wished I would have had an opportunity to meet at some point in time, but it just never happened. But some of my thoughts about Bruce is I've always thought that Bruce was an amazing guitarist. Even to this day, he is still good. And you see his things on Instagram, and he is just all over the guitar and playing things the way he played them, just the same way he played them years ago. I've loved Bruce from the very first album he was on, on the tour with Animalize, and then the very first album he was on with Asylum. But my two favorite albums with Bruce is probably Revenge and Carnival of Souls. I love his playing on Carnival of Souls. I especially love his song I Walk Alone off of Carnival of Souls. It's probably my favorite song, if not one of my top 2 or 3 favorite songs on that album. So I think Bruce is an amazing guitarist, and he's given us a lot of really great experiences and memories in Kiss. So hats off to you, Bruce. Hopefully someday I get to meet you.
Hey, this is Rob here from Right Between the Eyes podcast. A little tribute message for Bruce Kulick. Thank you for the years of service in the Kiss Army. You were my first Kiss guitar player that I fell in love with. 1989, Hot in the Shade back there, was my first Kiss album. Seeing the Hide Your Heart video instantly made me out, and running by that album December 5th, 1989 is when I bought that album, watched that video for the very first time, and you have been waving the flag not only for Kiss but the late great Eric Carr, and having Eric Singer come into the band at a really hard time. You and Eric just gelled. Both Erics gelled so well and were really a driving force for the band. I got to meet you a couple different times. Your band Union, which I'm sporting some stuff here, I'm a huge fan of. Thank you, Bruce, for everything that you've done for the band and continuing to wave the banner for my favorite era of the unmasked version of Kiss. Thanks, Bruce.
Hi, my name is Xander. I'm so glad to be a part of the Bruce Kulick tribute video and just to be able to extend my gratitude and appreciation to Bruce for his many contributions to Kisstory. Of course, fans know that he was involved with albums like Asylum all the way through Carnival of Souls, but he was also involved with the album before Asylum, Animalize, and the album after Carnival of Souls, Psycho Circus. So even when he wasn't an official member of the band, he was still contributing. And that, to me, is the kind of guy that Bruce is. He always goes the extra mile. He's always there when you need him, and he delivers every single time. And he was also the first member of Kiss I ever got to meet, which was a big deal. As a young fan, I was hoping I wasn't just going to be, he's just some young fan, whatever. No, every single time I've ever met Bruce, it's always been great. He's always good to the fans. So Bruce, if you're watching, thank you for everything. I really appreciate it. And if you're just a Kiss fan watching, then what are you doing? After this, go blast some Crazy Nights and some Revenge.
All right, let's continue our tribute. Now, Bruce released a series of solo albums: Audio Dog in 2001, Transformer in 2003, and BK3 in 2010. What is your assessment of each of these albums? Pat?
I think Audio Dog has kind of like a certain charm being the first record. You could tell, Bruce was comfortable and excited doing his own thing. But it's kind of like a very innocent album in a sense that, yes, he does step out, but it took 2 more records for him to really, really be, okay, this is me. Having said that, I think Audio Dog does have the charm of being the first record. It reminds me of first records by a lot of bands where you have that little innocence there, and I think that's what it has. And Transformer is the heaviest of the 3. Very heavy record. Very Bruce has some metal in him, and he can show it, that record. And you listen to it and you go, man, that guy can shred and he can be heavy. And many people say his voice is so. I'm sorry, I disagree. I think he sings very well, and he gained confidence. And by the time BK3 came up, I rediscovered it today, and wow, I think his most accomplished album. It's his Sgt. Pepper or his White Album, doesn't matter which, but really that record, he does a few more mellow songs, but also he rocks out again. Opening track, obviously. He was able to mix all of that and make it really work. You go, my God, this is quality material that Kiss could have used in the 80s. So that's my take on those 3 records.
Okay, how about you, Craig?
Yeah, this goes to show, he wrote "I Walk Alone" on Carnival of Souls, and this from that writing experience on that song, he could have had tunes on other albums if they would have let him in, right? I must say I like BK3 the best of the 3. Because I like the instrumentals on there. I think they're really, really melodic and really kind of sorry to say it, but kind of like Fractured Mirrors, I really enjoyed those instrumentals, and like he says, that opening track on there, it's just wow, and the 3 diversity, different styles on each album. It's like Pat was saying, the second one was more heavy than the first one, and the third one was the pinnacle, right? So, but no, definitely BK3 is definitely my best one for me. Yeah.
Okay, Claudio.
Well, I'm with the guys. So basically, it's nice when you listen to kind of your opinions, because we kind of read the music the same way. To me, Audio Dog has this innocence, as Pat said. To me, it's really raw. It's really raw hard rock, from Bruce, and the kind of type in your face kind of riff. Okay, so he didn't take any prisoners, and he went for it. In my case, it reminds me, you mentioned Carnival of Souls. To me, this album, there are many songs who remind me of Carnival of Souls. They could have fit it into Carnival of Souls with no question. And again, I think that Bruce was really into his thing here. I love the instrumentals, definitely. Transformer, I think it was kind of a transition, even though it's really heavy. I think in my case, I have the impression that it was kind of a transition period for Bruce, trying to find where to go, because by that time, grunge was done, and but he still had some kind of tunes, in D minor and that kind of stuff that sounded really dark. I don't think it fit the time. And again, to me, BK3. It's the ultimate album. I can swear to God, it's in my top 10 of all time. So BK3 sounds, very often here at home, and the collaborations that he picked for those songs, man. So on vocals, on guitar, on bass, to me, that's a stardom. It's fantastic. To me, BK3, hats off, Bruce, a fantastic album.
All right, guys, bear with me. Go for a cup of coffee, take a break, whatever you want. I did a bit of an analysis here, because I feel that these 3 albums really was the beginning and end, defining who Bruce was going to be as a solo artist. So we'll start with Audio Dog. I think Audio Dog was Bruce trying to find himself as a solo artist. And basically, he pretty much kept to what he already knew, and that was Kiss. That's why I think, for me, Audio Dog sounds the most Kiss-like compared to the other two albums, right? Listen to the beginning of Strange to Me. It sounds very much like a Kiss song. Now, oddly enough, it sounds like the beginning of Say Yeah. Now, Say Yeah came way after, I know this, but Sonic Boom was Kiss trying to be Kiss. And I feel on this album, it's Bruce Kiss.
Okay.
You know, so he was still trying to get out of that bubble with Audio Dog, right? Listen to Need Me. Sounds like something right out of Carnival of Souls. Listen to I Don't Mind. Now that is one of my favorite songs on the album. It's not heavy. To me, that is quintessential Bruce Kulick. He shines on this song. It's who he is, in my opinion, as an artist. I don't think he knew that at the time because he was experimenting, he was playing around, but that was the beginning, in my opinion, of who Bruce Kulick was to become as an artist. So then we jump to Transformer. And I agree with you guys. It's a transformation album, right? And this album continues a transformation that started with Audio Dog. So I feel that this album is more about his playing than about the lyrical content or the songs in general. What a start to the album. Jump the Shark. To me, that was, you really got to see how amazing a player Bruce Kulick is. And to me, that song set up my expectations for what the rest of the album is going to be. Is it going to be this good?
Yeah.
And one of my favorite instrumentals there is Inn of the Mountain Gods. Again, he sounds just amazing. And because of these two songs, and I don't usually listen to music this way, but I found myself listening to Bruce's guitars, the riffs, the shredding, not so much the lyrical content or the songs itself. I was listening to Bruce. And then you have, some of the guests on the album, John Corabi and Andrew London. And this was sort of like a taste for what was going to be, I think in all of our opinions, his best solo album.
Yeah.
So here we go. Now we're on BK3. The opening song, Fate. It's like, oh, come on. Is this Bruce still trying to be Kiss? Because when I hear this song, it reminds me of Hate from Carnival of Souls. Almost the same, Great song, though. And listen to it. Maybe realize that this really showcases Bruce's ability to do hard rock and do it well. But I found that after this song, the album took like a 180 turn that, to me, really showcased his true talent and abilities, his playing abilities, and in my opinion, his soft rock sound. To me, that's the Bruce Kulick sound that I love. My two ultimate favorite songs on the album, I'll Survive and Life. To me, quintessential Bruce Kulick music.
Yeah.
And then you have the guest, right? Gene Simmons, Ain't Gonna Lie. John Corabi, No Friend of Mine. Nick Simmons, what an amazing song. Hand of the King, and I'm the Animal with Tobias and Eric Singer. And here we have now a confident Bruce that I believe has found his sound on this album. And now realizes I could play with anybody and play well and hold my own and actually elevate those songs more than anybody else can. And that is one of the biggest contributions that Bruce has on this album. And that's why I think it's so amazing. So on this album, I feel that his transformation is complete. This is Bruce Kulick.
Absolutely. And it's interesting you mentioned that him kind of acknowledging what he can do and the kind of sound that he can pull. And we're getting into the next topic. I think we could do a full episode on the next tribute topic, which is the Bruce Kulick Band. With Todd Kearns, Brent Fitz, and Zach Throne, that gave us so much joy and so much I have to say, proud of being a Kiss fan because, these guys, they took it to another level. Yeah. So What does this band represent for 80s Kiss? So, Craig, what do you think about these guys?
Listen, this is the band that Kiss would not. This is the band that would play the songs that Kiss wouldn't play. Such as if I remember some of the set lists from those Kiss cruises and stuff, King of the Mountain, stuff like that. I'm like, wow, that song sounds so amazing live. Why they would not even bother trying that, I don't. To this day, it's still a big question mark for me. I think it paints a great picture of stuff that is out there that is not showcased. And I think that the band is really tight. They really get along. And I think the basic thing is they really enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
And that enthusiasm rubs off on you when you're watching them.
Yeah.
So, for me, that's hats off to that. I mean, I could listen to those guys all night long,
Mm-hmm. Patrick?
I've watched bits and pieces, I'm not that familiar, but I think their purpose is to say, hey, before there was the reunion and after the makeup came off, there was this period where it's overlooked by, but there is some great stuff in there. People have a tendency to say 80s Kiss was so. No, there was some good stuff in there. And it needs to be revisited. I think that's the purpose of that combo here. Say, hey, there's some good stuff in there. Re-listen to it. And it kind of probably gives you the incentive to say, I am going to, re-listen to that stuff and give it a fair shake and say, hey, you know what? There's some good stuff on there. So that's the purpose, I think, of that band.
Mm-hmm. Ask, what's your take?
Again, going back to his 3 solo albums, I strongly believe the Bruce Kulick band would never have happened if there wasn't that transformation that those 3 solo albums allowed him. This gave Bruce the confidence to basically call the shots. This is his band. This is his way. This is his vision. And his ability to find top-notch musicians to make his vision come to life. He couldn't have picked better people for this band. And my God, to bring back the 80s Kiss the way this band does is mind-blowing. And I'm sorry, but watching them on YouTube doesn't compare to seeing them live. And Claudia, we saw them twice on the last Kiss cruise.
Yeah.
And the first time was as exciting as the second. The second is exciting as the first. It was just an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And this is something that Kiss could never give us. I don't know if they won't or they can't, but these guys can. And the confidence that Bruce has with this vision of this band, oh my God, thank you to those solo albums. Thank you, Bruce, to what you gave the fans, because that is one of the most memorable musical bands out there. And I hope this continues after Kiss reaches the end of the road, because it needs to go on. This needs to start touring, because Kiss fans are going to want more of this. I guarantee it.
Yeah. I don't remember how many times we mentioned, when it was about Dreaming, who could be like the perfect opening act, for the last shows. We were saying, can you imagine having, a Bruce's band there? Yeah. Again, I don't know what else to say, because you said it better than anybody. So all 3 of you guys, you hit it there. To me, when I saw them live in the cruise, man, I can swear to God that it brought tears to my eyes, because there were songs that I never thought I was going to listen to them live. Okay, and again, we're going to say that over and over. So Kiss is such a visual band that all the 80s era, it's completely overlooked, and people don't pay attention too much to the musical content. But let me say something. Even though there's good stuff, as Pat was saying, there's good songs, I think that this band, they make it sound, they make those songs sound better than Kiss. definitely. So crispy. A brand hitting the Skins and the Zach and Brand Fitz. Oh my God, the way this guy can sing, and they put so much passion into it. So you can tell that these guys are real fans, and they pay a beautiful rendition to those songs. So again, kudos to Bruce to bring up this idea, and as Paz was saying, hopefully they continue to do so, because we really need that. We really need it.
Yeah. I mentioned it in previous episodes. Some of those Gene songs in the 80s, I really didn't like. Some of those 80s songs I'm not crazy about. But my God, when you hear it live, when they do it, incredible. And it's really through this band that fans realize how amazing 80s Kiss music really is.
Yeah.
We all know how amazing the 70s is. But this band is making us realize the 80s Kiss is just as great. So again, man, thanks so much for that. All right, so let's continue our tribute with the next topic. We've all seen Bruce's video tributes on YouTube. His most recent includes a tribute to Cycle Circus, Crazy Nights, and Alive 3. So what are your thoughts about these shorts? This time, Claudio, we'll start with you. It's tough.
I love them. I love them so much, because he's, again, on this specific kind of way of communicating with the Kiss fans and with the music fans. He's given us something that nobody else is giving. So the way he approaches, his project, the amount of information, the bits and bytes, the bits and pieces of kind of, the behind the scenes that we want to know, when he shows the guitars, and, it captures the attention so much, because it's not the usual, go through the motions, say the same thing over and over again. Oh, this was the best album ever, blah, blah, blah. No, he gives fans exactly what we want to know. And it's so amazing, because sometimes you have a big disappointment when you listen to a record and then you see the same musician playing live. It doesn't sound the same, because there's all these tricks that they play in the studio, and they tweak it and blah, blah, blah. Bruce playing kind of even without an amp in front of a camera, it sounds exactly the same as the record. And that's what I love. So, and, the format that he gives to these videos, again, it gives everything that I was looking forward to seeing, for those albums. So, and again, very unique, very creative. Love it. Definitely love it.
Right, Greg.
Yeah, definitely. Can't say much better than what Claudio already said. Just keep them coming. I love hearing the old stories and into history. I just think that basically he brings a different dimension into those things and behind the scenes. I've always been a big fan of behind the scenes stories and looking at studio videos when they're making the albums. I've always been into that kind of stuff, So for me, it's really a win-win for me.
Listen, Bruce Kulick is a rock star. My God, he's played with Kiss. He's done and accomplished so much. And here he is doing YouTube videos like you and I would do, like a common fan would do. I mean, come on. How awesome is that?
Yeah.
And he's one of us. He's one of us. He's creating Kiss content because he enjoys it. He's truly a fan. And coming from the perspective of someone who's been with the band, it just elevates to a whole new level, of course. But I just love watching those behind the scenes, because we get the perspective of not only someone who was in it, but someone who's also a fan of it. And I've seen those tributes several times over and over again. It's so much fun to watch, and I hope he continues to do them.
Absolutely.
As for me, I have to say that it took me back in time.
Yeah.
It took me back in time. I was like, oh my God, it was just like, especially like with the Monsters of Rock and everything. I remember being in college and still being into Kiss and all of that. And and of course, Alive 3, when he talked about Alive 3, because I was at that one of the shows, Detroit. And I was like, oh, I can't believe it's been that long, but I'm so glad that he's sort of like, hey, this was a great period as well.
Yeah.
Even though rock in general was not doing well, but Kiss was in fine form, I gotta say.
Oh, yeah.
And it deserved to be mentioned. And I think that's the purpose of those videos, I think.
You know what I love about what with everything that Bruce does, it's that he's doing justice, you know, to a beautiful time during history. Because, you know, if you get only the take from Gene and Paul, you know, trying to sell, you know, Kiss with the makeup and the image and the spectacle and the bombs and whatever, you know, the show and blah blah blah. So you tend to forget that there was a period of time where musicality was at its peak, you know, for instance, with the Revenge era. And again, Alive 3, that's an awesome album. And it's worth, you know, getting deep into that. And he's doing this by all these different projects that he's presenting to the fans. He's doing justice to a beautiful time in history.
Yeah, well said.
So again, we all know that Kiss fans really love lists, okay, of any kind. Okay, so let's close this tribute with a list. So, gents, from Bruce's 3 solo albums, what are your top 10 songs? And this time we're going to start with Basque.
Okay, so I approach this in the following way. So I would like to create a greatest hits album that showcases Bruce's transformation from Bruce Kulick, the Kiss guitarist, to Bruce Kulick, the solo artist.
Okay.
So number 1, Inn of the Mountain Gods. Great start to the album, showcases how truly a great guitar player he is. But this guy can also rock, right? Dogs of Morrison, number 2. This song shows that he can play anything, and he could play a song that belongs to the Kiss album, and it's equal and comparable to anything Kiss does.
Absolutely.
The third song, I Don't Mind. Now, this is Bruce being Bruce. He's exposing himself, and this is who I am. Ain't Gonna Lie, number 4. So this is interesting because now he's playing with Gene Simmons, a former member of the band, but he's no longer the Kiss guitarist. He's Bruce Kulick. So he's coming at it from a different direction. He's not tied to that band anymore. He's his own person. I think that shows in this song. No Friend of Mine, number 5. As amazing as John Corabi is, Bruce's playing elevates that song, in my opinion, like nobody else can. And that just goes to show that A, he could do anything, he could play anything, and whatever Bruce touches, he makes it great. Another song, number 6, And I Know. So Bruce is comfortable with who he is. This is who Bruce Kulick is. This is quintessential Bruce Kulick. So, followed by number 7, I'll Survive. Again, now as we're going down the transformation in this album, we're seeing who Bruce truly is as a solo artist. Again, this is my opinion, but this song really showcases that. And then, interestingly enough, the next song, Hand of the King, right? To me, this is like Bruce Kulick saying to himself, you know what? I could run the ship. I could create a band. I could pay homage to 80s Kiss. I could do this because I've got the confidence to do it. And I feel that this song and its contributions to the songs of other artists, especially on BK3, really is the springboard, once again, to the Bruce Kulick band that we know and love today. Followed by I'm the Animal, fantastic song. Once again, he's showcasing his ability to play anything with anybody, and anything he touches is an amazing song. And I'm going to end the album with, again, what I feel is the quintessential Bruce song, Life. It doesn't end hard. It doesn't end heavy. It ends with Bruce being Bruce.
Beautiful. Nice list. Awesome.
Yeah.
Craig, let's go to yours.
Okay. As much as I love lists too. And And I didn't. I had a vision of doing like the European version with an extra bonus tracks, but I didn't do it.
Okay.
Not this time. First off, they're strange to me. Secondly, it's just my life with Karabi. Ain't gonna die with Gene Simmons. No friend of mine. Also, 5 need me. 6 I don't mind. Change is coming. I'll survive. Like Pat was saying, that's underlined for me. Against the grain, and for me, number 10 would be Monster Island.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love the the differences, because we don't follow. Sometimes we kind of repeat ourselves on the Kiss albums, but this time around there's a lot of variety here.
Yeah.
His is a much harder album, heavier album.
Yeah.
As far as for me, Need Me, my all-time favorite Bruce song. Fate.
Okay.
Number 3, Dirty Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, Final Mile. Great singing from Bruce, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
I Can't Breathe. I like that. Crazy, another good song. All That I Need. It has that catchy chorus that, wow, that's it. You hum it, whether you like it or not. Next, I Don't Mind. A Pair of Dice. And the last one, Sky Dome.
Wow. Love it.
Instrumental heavy.
Yeah.
Nice.
I also
Still different from our choices, though. It's interesting.
It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, what I find it's that I'm not a big fan of instrumentals, but Bruce's main instrumentals are awesome. You can listen to them and you don't want to hear any vocals there. You just want the guys to keep playing. So in my case, I started off with Monster Island, then Please Don't Wait, one of my faves, then All That I Need, same as Pat. It's Just My Life, again, one of my faves of all time from Bruce. Beautiful to Me. And then I'm going to close it up with 4 songs from BK3. No Friend of Mine with John Corabi. Dirty Girl with Doug Feature. Then I'm the Animal with Tobias, same as Pask. And I'm going to close it up with another instrumental, Between the Lines. So awesome song. Beautiful.
4 different takes. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a first.
It is.
Nice. All right, guys. So we have one more little tribute to pay before we close the curtain on this episode. But before we do that, let's listen to the remaining personal experiences of the Kiss Army.
Hello, Bruce Kulick. This is Ken Mills of the Podcast, and I'd like to thank you from everybody that's ever been on the podcast. We'd like to say thank you for being part of our show and for being all you are to us. The first time I met you was in Cleveland on the Animalized Tour. You were a gentleman and you were great. You've been that way. You were that way with our kids at any Kiss Expo. You've always been a great ambassador for all things Kiss. Love your playing. Love you. My best to you and Lisa. God bless. A chef's kiss for you, your pancakes, your guitars, everything. Thank you for being you. Kiss fandom would not be the same without you. Bye.
Hello, everybody. I'm Matt Porter, host of The Kiss Room. I want to thank Pasquale and Claudio for the opportunity to join this Bruce Kulick tribute party. A lot of you are probably sending in videos where you're saying, Bruce, thanks for the music. Bruce, thanks for the tours and all the great shows. Bruce, thanks that you were so cool when we met you in person all those times. But what I'm going to drill down to is something specific. I want to say, Bruce, thanks for helping me with my radio show. You probably don't even remember it. July 2012. I'm only 2 episodes deep with a program that I call The Kiss Room. And you called in, talked to me, talked to Frank Hagen. We had a great time with you. You told us some great stories. You gave us some tidbits that quickly were shared on social media. Back when there weren't that many Kiss podcasts yet, there wasn't really even, I was just kind of figuring out my own way. There weren't even a lot of other podcasts. So that helped put us on the map. So Bruce, thank you for helping me to get the Kiss Room launched way back in 2012. Aside from all the music and all the great Kiss stuff, that's something I will always be thankful for. Matt Porter, the Kiss Room. Thank you very much, Bruce.
Well, thank you to everyone who took the time to send us their video tribute to Bruce Kulick. You know, we highly appreciate your support to our podcast and your appreciation to Bruce and everything that he gave, in history. So thank you so much once again.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Now, it wouldn't be appropriate to have a tribute to Bruce Kulick without paying our respects to his late brother, Bob Kulick. Bob was a guitarist and record producer who worked with Kiss, Wasp, Alice Cooper, Lou Reed, Meatloaf, and Michael Bolton, just to name a few. His career and accomplishments were extensive. Let's just say Bob can do it all, and he did it all. So let's end this tribute with the following question. What would you like to say about the late, great Bob Kulick? Patrick.
Very reliable. He was there when Kiss needed him. And like Bruce, very professional. And he was also there for the Paul Stanley tour. So the first tour. So I think his connection to history is undeniable. And he was there in the shadows, but true professional and very accomplished musician who did a lot in the background, but very interesting career for sure.
Claudia?
Well, no doubt that he's in the same category of musicianship as Bruce. You know, these guys, they can play anything and they can adapt their playing to whatever kind of music. But I think in the case of Bob, and because of the times when he worked with the band, he basically defined the Kiss sound in many times. So for instance, if you listen to Paul's solo album in '78, that's him. You know, it has his signature all over the place. And for many people, you know, even though, you know, Ace's '78, it's one of the faves. You know, to me, in my case, Paul's, it's my favorite, and that's all Bob Kulick for sure. Then, of course, the songs that we have on side 4 of Alive 2, then his contribution to other albums, again, really close to the family, very, very related to the Kiss sound, and it's highly missed. So it could be nice to have him around and play with Bruce, you know, some of those beautiful songs that we love so much.
Yeah.
Greg?
Yeah, we love his contributions. I wish I would have had a chance to have met the man. I mean,
yeah.
Wish that I think that he will live on through his music that he created. So through various other bands, plus what he contributed with Kiss, and rest in peace. That's all I can say about that. I mean, it's wonderful, man.
No, I had the honor and pleasure of meeting Bob on 2 occasions. The first time was at a New Jersey Kiss Expo. And bear with me, this is how I remember this. I bought the Bruce Kulick album, BlackJack, and I had it signed by Bruce. So I go see Bob, and I'm holding the album, and I'm talking with Bob, and Bob goes, "Oh, I had a part in that album." I go, "Oh my God, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Do you mind signing it?" and he signed my album. But nice. To be honest, I don't know how he contributed to that album. I don't know if anybody knows, if the Kiss Army knows, put it in the comment section. I know he worked with Michael Bolton, and that's just basically, maybe he felt that was the contribution. I don't know. But I remember thinking, oh my God, how did I not know that? And I had him sign the album. But I remember also for the Kiss Cruise 3 pre-party, I worked with Bob, and oh my God, the nicest guy, the easiest guy to work with. It's like, what do you need? What do you want of me? I'll do whatever you need, whatever you want. Just no problem whatsoever. And I remember Kevin Gangley. He was so nervous to meet Bob, and he didn't want to approach him. I go, let me talk to Bob. And so I went to see Bob. Listen, I got a fan here. He's a little crazy now. He wants to meet you. And Bob's like, yeah, sure, no problem. And you should have seen how happy Kevin was. Took pictures together. It's like they started talking, and it made Kevin feel so special. Like they were friends, And that was Bob. He was a people person.
Yeah.
And it's really a shame that we didn't get more of Bob, because Pat, like you were saying, a lot of what he did, a lot of his contributions was in the background.
Yeah.
But his legacy is in the foreground. We see his contribution so clearly, even though he wasn't in front of that stage, and he wasn't on that album cover. Bob is all over so much of the Kiss music that we love. And and we said earlier on in the episode, would Kiss have survived without Bruce Kulick in the 80s? How many times did Bob save their butts throughout their career? And he was basically on call anytime they needed him. Bob, he would do it. He was just that kind of person. And Claudio, remember we did an episode with Pepe Castro.
Yeah.
And then as a result of that episode, I discovered his album Balance. Mm-hmm. And Bob was in that band.
Yeah.
And oh my God, what an amazing album. If anybody hasn't heard it, take a listen to it. Just incredible. And you really hear the Bob sound in that album. So fantastic. May he rest in peace. And he'll never be forgotten, definitely through his music and the person that he was.
Yeah. And not so long ago, you might remember also that Pepe came out with a video, paying tribute to Bob. So such a lovable person, So it's highly missed. Yeah. All right. So actually, we could keep going with this forever, man. It's been such an awesome episode. And again, just a few more words for our dear and loved Bruce Kulick. Again, thanks for everything that you're doing, for everything that you did for us, the Kiss fans. But above all things, a fantastic human being. And that's the most important thing, more than anything else. Because, music is music and business is business. But, good people, it's what we need. So, and you're one of them. So thank you, Bruce.
Thanks to Pat and Craig for being on the show and paying tribute to Bruce Kulick. Thank you to all of our friends in the Kiss Army who contributed their videos to this episode, and a lot of them are super busy, had a lot going on, and I was so touched and appreciative that they took the time to do this, and they did this for Bruce, because it just goes to show how much fans really appreciate what Bruce has given us.
Yep.
And this episode is just a little token of our appreciation, a little something to say, we love you. Thank you for everything. Never be forgotten. And we will continue to follow your career, because what you've done for Kiss and the fans is just second to none. So, Kiss Army, tell us your thoughts about Bruce Kulick. Tell us in the comment section or message us at talktome@kissarmynationpodcast.com. Until the next time, remember, never stop rocking. Take care, everyone. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe on YouTube, or follow us on Spotify, Podomatic, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to make yourself heard. Leave us a comment on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. See you all soon, Kiss Army.